Hello, so today we're going to look at an example of using the cosine rule formula. So yesterday we proved the cosine rule, and that was a squared equals b squared plus c squared, take away 2bc cos a. So today we're going to look at we're going to look at an example of calculating an angle using the cosine rule. So this is a case where we can use the cosine rule. So remember, if we've got a triangle with three sides given and we've got to calculate one angle, we can use the cosine rule. Or if they give us two sides and one angle, we can use the cosine rule to find out the missing side on that triangle. So three sides in an angle means we need the cosine rule. So with this one, we want to calculate the angle x. So I'm going to call this capital A. That means that this 9 must be A. This 7 and this 11 can be either B or C. I mean, it doesn't matter which you pick. Let's just call that B there. So that's me B, capital B there. Then that must be C. We got to call this capital C there. So our formula is a squared equals b squared plus c squared, take away 2bc cos a. So we're just going to plug the numbers in and see what we get. So our a squared is going to be 9 squared. So we get 9 squared is equal to b squared, which we'll call 11 squared, and then plus the c squared, 7 squared. Take away 2 times 7 times by, well, 2 times 11 times by 7, doesn't really matter which way round you do it, but 2 times 11 times by 7 times by cos a. So remember, we can actually rewrite the cosine rule formula like this. Remember, we can actually write it like this instead when we rearrange it. So cos a is equal to b squared. So b squared plus c squared minus a squared over 2bc, just by rearranging that formula as we did yesterday. So what we can do is just plug our numbers into the formula. So cos of the x value that we want, which is our a there, cos of x can be the b squared, it's the 11 squared, plus the c squared, the 7 squared, take away the 9 squared, divided by 2 times b, which again is 11, c, which is 7. And then we can work that out on the calculator, and then we can do cos inverse to calculate calculate the angle x. So cos inverse of this value here, so 11 squared plus 7 squared, take away 9 squared, divided by 2 times 11 times by 7, and that will give us our value. So we can go to the calculator and we can put those numbers in. So 11 squared plus 7 squared, take away 9 squared, divided by 2 times 11 times 7, and then cos inverse of that, we should get an angle of about 54.7 degrees. So 54.7 degrees to three significant figures. So that's going to be our angle A, and that looks quite reasonable just by the diagram here, because it looks like an acute angle there. So yeah, 54.7, sorry, the other way around, 54.7 degrees, and that would be our A value. So that's just an example of how we can use the cosine rule. So again, the key thing with when we can use the cosine rule. So if you are given all three sides of a triangle and you need to calculate one angle, you can use the cosine rule. Or if you are given two sides and one angle on a triangle and you need to find a missing side, like the one remaining missing side, you can use the cosine rule. So if they give you a question with a side there, I'll just put a box there instead. So side there, side there, side there. You need one of these angles. You can use the cosine rule, or alternatively, if they give you again a triangle, a side there, maybe a side there, they give you that angle there, and you need to find this side here, the missing side. Again, you can use the cosine rule. So the sine rule is when you've got perhaps two angles given to you in the question. You've got one side, you need to find one of the opposite sides, or if you've got one angle, two sides in the question, and you need to find one of the opposite angles to one of the sides in the question. But the cosine rule, these are the two cases that you need. So that's just a summary of when you need the cosine rule, and just an example of how you can substitute into the cosine rule formula.